Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting for July 16th, 2024. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Hines, if you'd like to open us up in prayer. It's good to see you.
Thank you for this privilege. Would you please bow with me in prayer? Lord Jesus, we just want to thank you and praise you that you're a great God, and we thank you for the men and women you've placed in leadership here. We thank you that we've been, as a nation, been able to celebrate another birthday and recognize your sovereign hand has been upon our country. And God, I would pray specifically for these men and women. Recognize that all of us come from different backgrounds. We have different opinions, different thoughts. But God, I pray that as you brought this team together, that you would unify them and help them to work through any issues or situations, that they would put aside personal agenda to be able to do what is best for this community. And so, God, I lift them up to you now. I pray for this meeting that even any discussion is made, it would be done in such a way that it doesn't create anger or disputes, but just able to help one another understand where the other person is coming from. So, God, I lift this meeting up to you now, and I pray that you bless it and you encourage it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Okay. Number 2 is approval of the agenda.
Support.
Okay, motion supported. The only thing I would say is the 8F is the approve the removal of 11 trees, not 10. Okay. All right, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janicek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Richburger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 3 is the consent agenda. The agenda committee recommends to approve and place on file the minutes from the July 2nd, 2024 regular meeting of the Bedford Township Board. B, balance sheet and revenue expense report for the period ending June 30th, 2024.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Bruning. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner? Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Janicek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Richburger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 4A, quarterly investment report.
Well, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you for presenting this for me, Bob.
This is the quarterly investment report for June 30th, 2024. The first section is the cash assets, which is right around $15 million. The second section there is the current cash flow needs, which is right around $3.6 million. And we have about a little over $11 million available. Our goal when we invest is about a 5.24%, and that is the current 3-month T-bill rate. But currently we are in an environment with an inverted yield curve, which that means is the longer you go out, the lower the interest rate. So the shorter term rate is higher than the longer term rate. So that can make it challenging for long-term investments. Our current investments, we have approximately $2.1 million in ARPA funds. We have approximately $4.3 million in sewer and O&M funds. Our investments at UBS, we have about $182,000 in cash, earning at about 5.25%. We have one treasury bill, about $200,000. We have several certificates of deposits totaling about $2.2 million. We have several treasury notes, just shy of $3 million. And we have some agency funds, which is the Federal Home Loan Bank System. And that is approximately $446,000 for total investments at UBS just over $6 million. We also have our long-term investments through the SAD loans. Those loans average anywhere from the 1 year to greater than 10 years, and we have about $3 million. The average rate on those is 3.5%, and those rates will be based on a 5-year U.S. Treasury note rate.
Anybody have any comments or questions? Mr. Steiner?
Your mic's off.
There you go. You heard? Okay. So I know I had asked before about some of our investments, and I asked Bob to clarify. I thought what I read in here was correct. So some of these, like summary of balances under ICS, balances, anything is listed under FDIC. So I know the FDIC is $250,000, $250,000. So I see a lot of agencies, banks, et cetera, where money is at $247,000, give or take. So that keeps us in that threshold. But I guess I question, we've got almost $11 million in pooled funds at Fifth Third. That can't be insured. So
I'm actually working with them to get that out of that account into an investment account, probably at UBS or another investment institution.
And I can't answer to what Mr. Miller just stated, from long-term, short-term. I mean, I got to believe what you said to be correct if you're saying right now long-term rates are dropping versus some of these short-term notices. But as you said, some of these T-bills are at almost 5.25. So, I mean, obviously you'd have to have a lot of T-bills, but either that or, I mean, even long-terms, some of the long-term, we're earning, that money's earning 0.15, so not even 0.5%. So, yeah, we got to move that money.
Yeah, that's my plan. I was working on that before the end of the year. I had something come up before the end of the year. I wasn't able to be here to finish that. That is my goal within the next month to get that taken care of.
Okay, yeah. So,
What does it take to get the money from Fifth Third? How much are we going to keep in Fifth Third then?
Well,
Out of the 11 million.
out of the 11 million, we figured.
On the front page, you'll see under the cash flow, that second section, I'd like to keep about $3.6 million for current cash flow needs.
So what he's saying is that insured then?
Available. Yeah, up to, well,
There are,
you'd have to divest that money into multiples to get it insured because,
I think that's what you're asking.
Well, yeah,
How do we
'cause
get
like I
this
said-
money insured and invested properly.
right, so $250,000 is all these other ones on page 2 you see. So we'd have to put money in numerous accounts. I mean, whether we go through a financial investor or whoever. But yeah, we got to get that money moved, start making some money on that.
but according to our policy, we do know that current cash flow needs will exceed the $250,000 simply because it's current cash flow. It's in and
Right,
out.
those are the exceptions.
Those will be the exceptions.
I mean, you said that you got 11 million available. I mean, I'm looking at, I'm just talking about that one fund alone, but even if you took 75% of that fund, that still leaves, $26 million there plus what you've got down below. So definitely covers plenty of your operating expenses.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? Okay. Thank you,
That's
Bob.
it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, item 4B, Monroe County Sheriff update.
Uh-oh.
pressure, Bob.
No pressure.
All yours.
Good evening, Joe Hammond with the Sheriff's Office. You've got the stats for this past month. I will say there was a snafu with our report writing system when the provider updated their system. We almost didn't have the stats for this month, but they came through right in the last minute. So, but anyway, a review of the stats. They're right on target for what we've traditionally seen down here in the township. Nothing really stands out as being as an outlier. So we're doing well there. I know we're kind of a month ahead to talk about the fireworks and how the 4th of July went, but everything went smooth. Not a ton of complaints regarding fireworks being shot off, in local neighborhoods, and when that did happen, we were pretty quick to get on it and take any enforcement that should be taken, or at least advise those that were outside the law on what they should be doing or not be doing. So, any questions?
Yeah, we get a decent amount of calls on blocked sidewalks. Is that something you guys handle as well? The cars parked on a
Cars
sidewalk
parking and blocking them. We don't get a ton of those calls ourselves. I know it probably comes into the township or something local, but that is something we can handle. Yeah. I don't know off the top of my head. Joe worked down here more. Maybe is there a local township ordinance on that, or is it just under state law?
Never received a call or complaint for a black sidewalk on the
Okay.
road. I never responded to one.
I know it's things that typically we hear in like a homeowners association meeting or somewhere like that those complaints go more there than come to us.
I guess if it's something you say you drive in a neighborhood and there's a trailer blocking a sidewalk, would you guys knock on a door to say, hey, can't block a sidewalk? Or you don't go that far?
I'd like to say we would, but I can tell you that if there's a vision obstruction down the road or something that's going to cause a hazard to pedestrians or children at play.
Part of the problem is we get the calls, but then when we say, well, we're going to put your name as a complaint, they say no thanks.
Yeah.
So then,
If it's passed along to us, I mean, if you get the call and you pass it along to us, we'll go out and we can handle. We go out and see the violation. We can certainly address it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't have. We don't need to have an actual complaint. If it's something we can, we observe the violation, we observe ourselves, we can handle.
Okay. Cool. Anybody else have anything? Thanks
I'm
for
not
being here.
interested in you spending your time on that personally.
I'm just
You got a
asking.
trailer.
I don't want you going out driving neighborhoods looking for cars parked on. I mean, they're going to be in neighborhoods anyways. They patrol neighborhoods.
Yeah, when we're in the neighborhoods and we see something that's really obvious, our guys typically address it. So,
Right.
but at the same time, you park a trailer as you're loading up for the weekend, we'll
Right.
get it in, get it out of there. So,
Okay. Cool.
right.
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. 4C 9/11 Memorial for Bedford Township. Murda, it's good to see you. Don't recognize me, huh? Welcome.
Thank you for having me here. Good evening. I hope I don't collapse here because I've never done this really. But I appreciate being here and that you can open your hearts and hear what I have to say here for the Bedford Township.
If you need to move that mic closer to you so you don't have to lean, you can do that as well. There you go.
I'm here tonight to bring awareness of the need to have a 9/11 memorial here in Bedford Township. On September 11, 2001, the Detroit News printed 42 surnames of Michigan's 9/11 victims. I'm Murda Gashar, and I lost my husband, Robert Gashar, on September 11, 2001. This personal tragedy has deeply influenced me and led to a personal proposal for a 9/11 Memorial and Learning Center in Bedford. This is not just a project for me, but a personal mission to honor the memories of those lost. The Bedford community, including those most affected by the attacks, will not be spectators, but active participants in establishing the Memorial and Learning Center. Your role is crucial. This center, a significant figure in our community, will be a place of reflection and remembrance designed for healing. Your involvement will be the cornerstone of this project. It will also serve as a tool for those with no memory of the attacks to understand the losses that will forever be incomprehensible. The Gashar family moved to Ann Arbor in 1933, continuing to raise future generations. At an early age, Robert dreamed of attending Long Island University to obtain his insurance and risk management business degree, and so he did. The Never Forget 9/11 Memorial, Inc. is a nonprofit organization with a 501c3 status, and it is dedicated with its members, the member board. Our mission is to build a significant project, the 9/11 Memorial Learning Center, which will serve as a place of reflection and remembrance, paying tribute to our heroes. The kiosks installed in the Memorial Park and the 9/11 free curriculum will help our young citizens remember and ensure that our history is passed on to the next generation, inspiring a sense of hope and unity to our community. The Never Forget 9/11 board is requesting a possible park area that would meet the needs of future generations and their families. Today, we ask the trustees, community, and officials to play a crucial role in approving the Never Forget 9/11 Memorial Center. We are deeply grateful for your support and involvement, which are vital for our success. When I retired, I moved here from New York City in 2017. I built my forever home here in Bedford. In addition to this beautiful historic event, the Bedford community will be added to the Memorials Registry. Never Forget 9/11 Memorial, Bedford, Michigan, one of the thousands of memorials worldwide. The Never Forget 9/11 Memorial has a phone number that you can call and leave a message, any kind, negative, positive, encouragement, whatever you want to say, at 734-347-8362. Keep it clean. And also emails at neverforget911memorial@gmail.com. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. So what does our involvement look like
The involvement,
for the board?
our board is,
Are you still at the beginning stages?
I am not.
Okay.
I have a board. I have I have insurance for the board, D&O, liability. I'm ready to collect funds. We're looking for volunteers, and we're obviously looking for some funds. That is why I wanted to make sure I got a 501c3 so I can make sure that the donors will be able to deduct. I could have done this a very long time ago, about 2 years ago, but personally, I wanted to make sure that if you wanted to deduct, you had the option to do so. I have a board that we've been taking minutes for the past year and a half. They have truly showed passion and dedication to help this mission. We care about our children, no matter where they are. This is a global situation, and if we can just start off with Bedford, we could continue on. Bedford is a community that will gain revenue from this memorial.
So is this something that, I've heard the library?
We would like it very much so to be part of the library. We would then connect our learning center to the library where field trips can be done through all year round.
Was that the partnership you're looking for, or are you looking
Yes.
for funds as well?
Well, I'm looking for both.
Okay. So
And I'm also
I just
looking
want to know what
for-
you're looking for from the board. So
Yeah,
you're looking
I'm
for
looking
property?
for the permission,
You're looking- okay.
the board, and also volunteers to help us,
So what's your guys' next steps?
for you to say yes tonight,
Oh, tonight? Okay.
if that's possible.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Mr. Steiner?
Another point is, I know that the Whitman Center of Monroe County Community College, they're looking for ideas to purpose this building over on Lewis Avenue. There might be some opportunities there as well.
Oh, thank you.
Something to think about. And Dr. Kojo Corte would be the person to approach from the community college on that, most likely.
Can you spell that, please? We have minutes, right, from
Yeah,
this?
Let's talk to
Okay.
Al. He's got a cell phone.
Okay,
Yeah.
you got it.
But that might be a real good
All right, thank
opportunity
you.
there as well.
Thank you. We have an architect there already. He's the one that did the design for the Sylvania one over at the Sylvania Cemetery. And his name is Scott Hickok, and he is on the board as well.
Yeah, so what I would tell you if you're wanting to do it at the library, that's the first step is get approval from the board. Because if you don't have
Be this
approval-
board, would be this board. There's so many boards.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
this
this
board.
one. So,
You need approval from the board, because if the board doesn't give approval, that's your first
right.
move.
Well, I do need the approval because there is a beautiful site that we're
What I would
looking
tell you
at.
to do is put a plan together
Okay,
on paper,
On
with
paper.
an architect, whoever, and
Yes.
get it on an agenda.
okay.
And just work with Al on that, and, but it's gonna have to be a detailed plan. You're gonna have to involve Jody at the
Yes,
library.
she's a member of my board.
Okay, make sure she's involved and has her buy-in, and, make sure your ducks are in a row. Cost, how much cost are you looking from the township, because we budget every year, and there's certain things we do and we don't do. So yeah, just get all that together and get it to us.
Yes, and I will. Thank you so much.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Goldsmith?
We won't be able to contribute financially, taxpayer money, but what you said is accurate in terms of an architectural rendering, the location at the library, put it before the board. I think the board has authority at no cost to the township residents to designate a spot at the library if it meets with the approval of this board, primarily because the township owns the property. And I think it needs to be coordinated with the library board as well.
Are you sure about the funds?
I'm pretty sure in terms of taxpayer funds.
Because it's
be
something
paid.
that would benefit the whole community as well.
Well, there's a lot of things that would benefit the whole community, but
I'm not saying the board's going to get funds.
to dedicate taxpayers' funds, I would say no. To provide for a space on public property, if the board approves it, and it's apolitical, then I would say yes, but no funds. That's just a Department of Treasury regulation. We can't contribute funds for a non-township exercise or issue. So I just don't want there to be a misunderstanding.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Gore?
So Phil did answer my question because I was going to bring up the fact that we were going to possibly give $800,000 to a skate park and BMX bump track for maybe a half a dozen kids to use. I mean, but it sounds like we couldn't give any money to this that many people could use, for even from outside the community.
Well, the distinction is the park is a township park, and it's for township park purposes. So yes, that expenditure, if the board were to elect, could be made. But for a memorial, I'm going to say no, you can't contribute taxpayer money to it, but you could provide a place for it to
So take MRTA out of it and their organization. Say this board wanted to do a 9/11 memorial at the library, they could.
Well,
I'm just saying because it's on.
it's
So the problem
that's,
is
that I'd have to look at that.
'cause
As an example, we have a memorial here on township property, out in front.
we have memorials in our cemeteries as well.
So if it was a township undertaking, this is an undertaking, albeit by a 501c3 corporation, but this is an undertaking by a separate corporate entity, certainly worthy, 100% worthy, but in terms of us funding them, we can't do it. We can provide a place for it, but we can't fund it.
Well, thank you for being here.
Understood. You're welcome.
All right, we'll see ya. And you did a great job, Myrna. I know you're nervous. Okay, up next is public comment. Comments limited to 5 minutes for board agenda items only.
Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance, 127 days and counting. Well, I'm not going to be well liked, but I don't want to sound that I'm not caring or that I have a personal opinion, but I do. As to the 9/11 Memorial Learning Center, so I guess as far as the agenda goes, that was the top of the thing, 4C. I think it's kind of misguided and self-serving. And just reading what she had printed up there, would this not be better set in Detroit or Ann Arbor? I didn't see anybody from Bedford Township on that list. And there were many, and the memorial is in New York. That's where these people were. And the memorial to any of those should be to the first responders who responded. We have that already here. We do have a blank concrete slab. We have yet to provide for the police memorial that we had were promised it was going to go up. And it's like I said, I'm not for or against the project, but to say much, I'm afraid would give the appearance that I'm being crass or uncaring, and that's not what I want to do. I just believe there needs to be a far better study on this. Who is this board? Who's raising the money? And we are not Bedford, Michigan. Never have been and never will be. We're Bedford Township, and we need to recognize that. And Mr. Proney had directed this group to go to the parks previously in the past. And so it's been around the block a couple of times. With time constraints and multiple agenda concerns, I will move on to 8B. I'm trying to understand these resolutions that were not passed 2 weeks ago and are here again today, when I know the parks had their resolutions denied. I don't know the time frame. I don't have all the answers, but it concerns me that they were looking to get more information and had hoped to have their resolution presented tonight, and they were denied that. As far as 8C, the election assistant, Trudy has a huge job on her hands. The state doesn't even know what they're doing, so I can't imagine how she knows what she's doing. So I think we have to applaud her. And I do see that she needs help, but should it be part-time or just a seasonal type job for just elections? And that's up to her to determine. 8D, I am opposed. This is a Hail Mary in an effort to push this through before the board changes. And what is the need? They're complaint-based. They decline to work hours where there is a need, and more often than not, they buddy up. Again, more disclosure on the applications. The Ordinance Department should not become a place for the Sheriff's Department to send their retirees. And if that's the case, let's just shove them under the police authority over there at the substation. 8F, would love to know the names of the owners of the companies for these tree services. 8G, if gravel is good enough for the township maintenance building, then Rich Kinney deserves to have gravel in his lot if that's what he so chooses to do. 8H, has the township ever moved forward on a project with one bid? The attacks upon the Park Commission have been innumerable over the last 4 years, and I don't know how those people have tolerated what they've tolerated. To do proper work requires an environment with a compatible group of people, and they are under you, but they're duly elected and deserve respect. And somebody needed to be taking the time to work with these people and to have them provide something that's important. I understand there was a secret meeting, so to speak, with the school superintendent and members of this board and over Indian Creek. And the school superintendent says he doesn't believe it's their job to provide community education for the children in this community. So this is a conflict to me. I don't understand why we have parks, are you trying to get rid of the Park Commission to overtake it so we can have a dictatorship within that organization? I don't understand it. And it's becoming very frustrating in this township trying to get the boards to come together because you all serve us, the public, the taxpayers. Thank you.
Whew. Thank you for your comments. Any more comments from the public?
I don't think we need anything from the dog pound.
That was a mouthful. Whew.
Ken Gagne, 8311 Lambert Street. I'm going to speak on 8D. It's my understanding when the pandemic was going on, they lost some funds in the Ordinance Department. And I went in the other day with some complaints, and Damon says, I'm all alone. But I might get some part-time help. The size of the township and how much it has grown even since the pandemic. I think that Ordinance Department, with some of the stuff that I see going on in the township, could use minimum 2 full-time people. Because I've had some complaints, and he said, I know what you're talking about, but I don't have the help to go do it. And as far as that trailer that might be parked on a sidewalk in a subdivision, that would fall under the Ordinance Department if they had help to get there. I don't think you got to put it onto the sheriff, but that's my opinion, and it probably won't go anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments? All right, moving on to 8A, vouchers for payment.
I'd like to make a motion that the following vouchers be approved for payment. General Fund, $86,867.41. Fire District, $33,649.78. Fire Equipment, $3,943.66. Downtown Development, $1,241.48. Library Operating, $5,956.88. Transit System, $60. Building Department, $708.77. Sewer O&M Fund, $460,969.27. Trust and Agency Fund, $2,311, for a grand total of $595,708.25.
Support.
Motion supported, Ms. Januzak. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Januzak?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Okay, item 8B, approved tax millage resolutions for the 2024 tax roll.
Do you want me to take this?
Go ahead.
So this is the updated information for the millage rates for the 2024 winter tax roll. It's for the general operating, 0.7639 per $1,000 of taxable value. Fire operating levy, 1.7326 per $1,000 of taxable value. Police levy, 0.3856 per $1,000 of the taxable levy, or taxable value, I'm sorry. Police levy, did I do police already? Yeah. Sorry. Fire equipment, .4889 per $1,000 of the taxable value, and library, .2444 per $1,000 of the taxable value. These have to be approved in order for me to place them on the winter tax bill for the winter tax collection.
And I can say the last meeting, the top form was right, the bottom form that we received from assessing was right, the resolutions didn't get changed.
Okay.
So now they're changed to match.
Okay.
If no one has any questions, I have a motion.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the millage rate for the general operating levy of .7639 mils as presented to be levied on the 2024 winter tax roll.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported. Ms. Hirschberger, any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Prony?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0.
Make a motion to approve the millage rate for the fire operating levy of 1.7326 mils as presented to be levied on the 2024 winter tax roll.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Ms. Hirschberger. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Prony?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0.
Make a motion to approve the millage rate for the police levy of .3856 mils as presented to be levied on the 2024 winter tax roll.
Second.
Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Steiner. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Prony?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0.
Make a motion to approve the millage rate for the fire equipment levy of .4889 mils as presented to be levied on the 2024 winter tax roll.
Second.
Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Steiner. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Prony?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0.
Make a motion to approve the millage rate for the library levy of .2444 mils as presented to be levied on the 2024 winter tax roll.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Ms. Hirschberger. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Prony?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item AC, hiring of a full-time administrative and an election assistant. Ms. Hirschberger?
The board, you did get the applications. They were not put out because they were asked to be kept confidential. Some of these applicants are still employed and they do not wish their employer to know that they have applied somewhere else. Therefore, they're confidential. They're not on the table. They're not on our website. So I did the interviews. It was myself, Amber, and Bob Miller, because we would like this person to also work part-time in the finance department. So she'll work part-time for me, especially during elections. And when I don't have elections, I'm going to put her in the finance department to help Bob in his department, because there's a lot in both departments that need assistance in. So I'll be sharing her with the finance department.
So we'll be lowering Bob's salary then?
They were all three very good candidates, but we ended up choosing Caitlin Brower, and her application is included in here. If the board approves it, she is able to start on the 29th of this month after giving her employer some time.
Anybody have any comments, questions? Mr. Steiner?
One thing, Trudy, I will say, nice to hear that you have a plan for that you're going to split some of the resources, especially utilize her heavily during election time, help out in the finance, and so that's a big thing for us. Cross-training is very important, so thanks for doing it that way.
Well, and I will say, too, it doesn't make sense to bring somebody in part-time or seasonally. They have to understand the job and
Elections
perform when
is a
they
different
can, and
animal.
elections to have somebody that understands it to just continue on with it makes total sense. So bringing somebody seasonally to do certain jobs doesn't make sense. So, Mr. Gore.
Is the wages the same in finance from the clerk's office? Would come out of each individual budget, or?
Yes, when we did the budget, we actually split it at that point when this board approved that I could hire someone full-time. We went ahead and budgeted in both, so it would be there. So the board said I could hire somebody at 40. Then after 6 months, I would do an evaluation and bring her up to the administrative salary, which is currently $45,473.56. But the starting wage would be 40. She was willing to accept that.
Okay. Is that a motion?
Motion to hire Caitlin Brower, effective immediately, although she can't start till the 29th, at a salary of $40,000 in 6 months to increase to the $45,473.56 with a satisfactory review.
Support.
Plus benefits, yes.
Okay. Motion is supported, Mr. Bruning. Any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll?
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8D, hiring of a part-time ordinance officer. This individual is just replacing the position that was vacated, so not going to really expand on what Ms. Keene said. I mean, you all have your opinions, or Mr. Gagne, I mean, on the positions. You know the ordinance department. So anybody has any comments or questions?
No, I'll just add, just in case anyone doesn't know, we only have one ordinance officer now. We had two. We are down to one, so, and this is a part-time ordinance officer where Shayla was full-time, so.
No, she was part-time.
Oh, part-time, my bad. So this is just, it's replacing a position that was vacated.
Right. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of James Eaton for the vacated ordinance officer position. Hours will be 32 hours a week. Rate of pay would be $18 an hour.
Support.
Motion is supported. Ms. Janazek, any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Peroni?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye.
Okay, motion passed 7-0. Item 8E, approve the purchase of 2 Chevrolet Tahoe police vehicles. I'm looking for the board to approve the purchase of 2 Chevrolet Tahoes through Michigan's My Deal. The vehicles will be purchased from Berger Chevrolet. In addition, each unit will need to be equipped at that cost. It can be between $13,000 to $14,000. That includes both cars. These 2 cars are in the budget. Comments, questions? Okay, I look for a motion.
Make a motion that we purchase the 2 Chevrolet Tahoe police vehicles. Also includes the approval of the $13,000 to $14,000 to outfit the vehicles. It is in the budget, and commend this board for planning ahead to make this happen.
Support. Okay, motion is supported. Mr. Gore, discussion. Ms. Janazek?
Do we want to put the total bid amount in the motion, or?
Mr. Steiner?
Yeah, we can put the total number on the.
You good?
Just a question.
Joe, you good?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, and I'll just say the 2 old vehicles will be sold. We're not going to, I think the days of taking old police vehicles and putting them in our fleet is over because it just costs too much money.
So we can just.
Once we get them, they're junk.
Yeah.
So we'll amend that, as you said, cost per vehicle $53,395. Total for the 2 vehicles $106,790.
Okay. And Joe supports. Could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion 7-0. Item 8F, approve the removal of 11 trees behind the sheriff's substation. So Mr. Thatcher with the ordinance department did what he could do back there with his crew, and these are the trees he doesn't really feel comfortable with. We asked the companies to give us bids, and I think 3 of them gave us quotes on 10, and there's actual 11 X's out there. So you guys see the bids?
Mr. Peroni, got just a quick question.
Yep.
We've got one estimate here under Heitman. So what is our plan if they were to be selected? I see that they've got a number 1 and a 2 bid, $3,879 just to drop the trees and no cleanup. And their secondary bid is $7,015, and that is also cleanup and debris removal.
Right.
Is that the one you're looking at, I think?
Yeah. It's the only one that has 11. So, anybody else have any comments?
What are you guys wanting to do with maintenance? Are you guys wanting to just fall them and have maintenance clean them up, or do you want to just go?
I asked maintenance if they felt comfortable cleaning them up, and they said they'd rather have them cleaned up. I think some of these trees are larger, and it'd be a
project.
whole heck of a lot of work cutting them, chunking them up, and I don't think a lot of their equipment is, to take big chunks on trailers, and what are they going to do with them? The wood's junk, it's cottonwood, but.
Those are some decent sized trees out there.
Yeah, Cox's has 11 as well, but they're at 80, 85, 88. So. Okay, I look for a motion.
I'll make the motion that we accept the bid from Heitman Enterprises, $7,015, which includes dropping 11 trees and also removing the old trees and clean up all the debris from the cut down.
Support. Okay, motion supported, Mr. Bruning. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Janusek?
Aye.
Ms. Berger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8G, variation from the Development Design Standards Ordinance number 65 on parcel number 5802-028-023-00, known as Forest View Lanes LLC. Mr. Steiner, you want to take this one, or no?
Well, I can take it. I mean, this is something that did not come to the Planning Commission.
Oh, it's okay. I
can talk about it. And then I was just going to say, though, Mr. Kinney is in the audience. In fact, I was recently at the bowling alley and had a very nice discussion with Rich Kinney, and guy's got a good head on his shoulders and a lot of plans for that property, and he does a great job, great business, and he looks out for the community. One of the things that obviously a lot of us are aware of is we recently deviated and had a variation on this property here for our new maintenance building, for a gravel surface behind the new maintenance garage that we're planning to build. Mr. Kenny, I keep saying it with an I, it's E, so it's Kenny. The property there, and Mr. Kenny explained it, how this came about, how they ended up with the gravel surface. He's trying to keep that property in compliance, and he found out after the fact that the stone lot is not currently approved the way it sits in our ordinances. So obviously he's looking for the variation. He wants to, again, keep this property clean. He's done a lot of cleanup on the overall property to begin with. He had as he puts in his memo, he had an addition in 2024, and he's got enough land over there. I don't doubt that the man's going to put his money where his mouth is, and he's going to probably expand that property someday, just because he's made that business successful.
Well, too, and at the end of the day, everything we do is case by case.
Correct.
So if we get something that comes to planning and they want to put gravel into their new business, they can't come back and say, well, you let Forest View and you did.
Right.
It's case by case. Forest View has a proper parking lot. This is something that's used for overflow in the summer times, and it's just every case is case by case. So
that's correct.
Go ahead.
Question. Maybe this might be more directed to Phil. How come this didn't come before zoning, the BZA? We've had these before where people have come to ask for forgiveness on variances requests. Shouldn't this be zoning?
Well, these types of requests have come before the Board of Zoning Appeals previously. Part of the, just recently, if I remember correctly, the new fuel gas storage facility came before the Board of Zoning Appeals because they wanted a gravel surface as opposed to a hard surface. So, but this board, because it's a design standard ordinance variation, this board has authority to grant or deny the request as well. So it's properly before this board, and you can make that decision whether or not to allow the existing gravel driveway parking lot to remain or to be expanded upon. So it's your pleasure.
And I'm fine with it. Just usually we see these as zoning, and we have got to go through the whole practical difficulties and everything like that, and we do. And Mr. Peroni's right. We take everything on a case-by-case basis, and I can see where this was just an error. So I just wanted to make sure it's at the right spot, and as long as you say we're okay.
Yeah, this board has the authority to make this decision because he is requesting the board to allow him to have a gravel parking lot for an overflow lot that does not strictly conform to the requirements of the design standard ordinance. So it's the pleasure of this board whether or not you want to deviate from that. And I agree that each application like this needs to be considered and measured on its own merits and doesn't necessarily establish a precedent. However, we all know that if it's done, people will come in and say, you allowed them to do it, I should be allowed to do it too. And then depending on which direction it takes, it can become an equal protection issue in court if it ever went that far. So, but I've always said, and I will always say, that each application has its differences and should be really by you measured by the application, the differences. So it's up to the pleasure of the board.
And just to tag on with what Joe said too, but Board of Zoning Appeals, if this was a full site plan that had to be reviewed, that would go to the Planning Commission for a recommendation to approve or deny that would come back here ultimately anyway.
This is a minor change to a site plan that was not required to go to the Planning Commission for a major site plan review.
Krista, did you have something? I thought you started. Okay, Ms.
I was sneezing.
Oh, okay. Sersberger?
So it didn't go before BZA because we're the ones who give the development design standards variations. We're the only ones that can approve that.
Right.
And he's not changing. He just wants to continue using the stone where it already is. If I'm wrong, let me know. So that's all we're doing is saying, yes, you're okay to continue with the stone surface that you currently have in place. And that's our job to say yes or no to that.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the variation from the Development Design Standards Ordinance number 65 on parcel number 58-02-028-023-00, otherwise known as Forest View Lanes LLC. The Planning Department request should be the variation be granted. A condition of the approval is that the applicant define the existing gravel parking area on the plans when submitting for the building permit to confirm the total square footage and the number of additional parking spaces within the gravel area.
Support.
A motion is supported by Mr. Gore. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Peroni?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye.
Okay, motion passed 7-0. Item 8H, White Park bathroom stall installation. Mr. Bruning?
No one showed up. Dude, it's my recommendation to the board is, because no one showed up from the park board, they've been told numerous times, anytime they have a quote or they need something, someone needs to show up because we're going to have questions, and there's definitely questions. I have questions about this myself, but
Did they do the work already? 'Cause that's
it's
kind
with
of what I was
3B.
reading.
It's
Did you ever get any answers, Bob? Did you ever get any answers to any of your questions?
There are a few. I think they attached some pictures on the last page. So
It looks like
I don't know
the
what
work's
that is,
already
though.
been done.
So it has been done.
Yep.
One of the other questions was who did the work? I think they attached the contractor in there. So that did answer that question.
A question is why wasn't maintenance given a work order?
That's one of my questions.
It's perfect maintenance work. Our guys do this stuff. I mean, this isn't a massive, at least run it through us to say, hey, no, we can't do that. I don't understand it, but.
Yep.
So what do you recommend?
I recommend we don't do anything with this. There's no one here from the park board to explain this, to answer our questions or anything else. We cannot approve something that we're just guessing on.
Well, I think the work's been done.
Yeah.
From what we're seeing, okay? It looks like they're wanting us to reimburse the $14,999 to 3B Baseball for the White Park bathroom installations. So was it 3B Baseball that did it, or did they sub it out, or was it for material and they did it for free?
Where are the other quotes?
And
Right.
yeah, there's no. And then if you also, if you
Right, there is. I
there's
mean,
no quotes. But then if you also look at the sheet itself, originally they had 1,500, and they scribbled that out and put 1499.99.
Plus they include
they're
the
under-
sales tax.
So it's
Under the $1,500
yeah.
threshold.
There's they needed to be here to explain it. No one showed up, so as usual with the park board, it's just a guessing game with them.
okay. I look for a motion.
So the work's been done, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's
They're looking
in
to
the
get
pictures right
reimbursed.
here. The work's been done.
Who's looking to get reimbursed? 3B
To me,
Baseball.
it's 3B Baseball.
So 3B Baseball paid for it out of their funds, and now they want to get reimbursed for the funds.
That's
'Cause
kind of what I'm seeing.
That's what I'm seeing too, but it does.
It looks like there is quotes on here from companies like General
you
Building
Trying to make
Products
heads
for
or tails.
Yeah, you can't see too well.
$6,600 to do the work. It looks like they did have a quote. I mean, it's definitely reasonable for what they did. I'm not saying they got taken like they did on the basketball courts, but
So
okay. I look for a motion. It sounds like we need to table this.
Yes.
Until we get an explanation.
we need a little bit more information.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to table it?
I make a motion that the bid be tabled from the park board for reimbursement of the work that was done at the 3B baseball bathrooms.
Support.
Okay, motion in support of Ms. Janizek. Any discussion?
Table till when?
I would say until a park board member can come to the meeting and have an explanation for it, and definitely until they put it back on when they can be here.
Till a park board member can attend. You're both good with
Yep.
that in the motion? Okay.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Okay, up next, comments from the public. Comments limited to 2 minutes for each individual.
I would like to respond to the reason why we want a 9/11 memorial here in Bedford. We have been getting phone
Gotta
calls
say your
as.
name and address first.
My name is Bernadette Opsel. I am the daughter of Murder Gajar. And we're talking about the 9/11 memorial for
Need your address as well. Sorry, for the records.
6655 South Summerway Court, Lambertville, Michigan. Okay.
You can continue on now.
Thanks. Okay, I just want to just answer why, because we have been asked this more than once. So the reason why is not only do we live here, but for the past 2 decades, we work with the 9/11 Memorial at the New York City education program and the teachers, the school programs, lesson plans, anniversary digital learning experience and stories, teacher professional development, teen ambassador, the ambassador program. And we rent churches, rooms, we go to the schools, assemblies, whatever. We spend a lot of money of our personal money doing it, and we will continue to do that. And we've been doing that, and a lot of requests is from the teachers, and we got kids going, looking at all our artifacts. We have a lot to donate to this memorial. We have lots of stuff for the 9/11 that we use and display, and we go through the schools, and the kids do and learn all about it. And it's like a museum. Well, we've been renting places, and we're just all over the place, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and more requests are coming in. And to be quite honest with you, why Bedford? We just need a place. We just need to stand still. So we thought of a park, as long as the funds don't affect the city, that we earn it ourselves, or we provide our own funds, whatever it's going to be. We just want a place where we could tell the schools, the teachers, that they could do their field trips. And that's pretty much it.
Time's up, I'm sorry.
Yep, but that was it. I just wanted to give the reason. It's because we're just ready to stand in one spot and also let the legacy move on to other boards.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any more comments from the public?
Lamar Frederick, 3254 Deer Creek Drive. Tonight you hired some people. And I just wonder how you established the salaries, because you had a compensation study. You had a salary study. The poor guy came in here and you guys roasted him. And I agree with the roast, by the way. But I still think you need to step back and establish some kind of salary schedules here so that you understand how you're paying people and why. Because you just say, okay, I'm going to pay them $29.55 an hour. How did you get there? What if somebody only had half the credentials and you had to hire them? Would you pay them the full salary? Again, there are steps, there are salary programs that you can put in place. And I think you ought to start looking at that again. The guy left town, I haven't seen him since. And of course, you guys pretty well roasted him on the way out the door, so I guess he wouldn't come back again anyhow. Lastly, I've been a member of the German Shepherd Dog Club of America for over 40 years. We placed 2 German Shepherd dogs at the entrance to the American Kennel Club offices in New York. The German Shepherds were the dogs that ran all over the building trying to find what was left of some of the folks that were there. So the German Shepherd dog is well placed at the 9/11, and I've still judged them. And it's a wonderful dog, and that's the dog that guards the entrance to the American Kennel Club in New York City. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Al Pryor, 1167 North Park. I want to thank this board for hiring the ordinance officer you did. Because when you really get into his experience, he spent over 9 years as a prison guard. He was a sheriff before that. He's also a police officer at Owens Community College. So, no, he won't have to ride with Damon. We don't have to make any concessions at all. He's well versed in handling people. And also, too, we had Krista, Trudy, and Damon. We all interviewed the candidates to see who we thought would work well with our residents and fit in here. And he's also a local resident. So I just want to say thank you, because I think he's going to be a great hire. And he knows how to deal with these people, because we do get some crazy situations sometimes out there. And the thing is, little things too, we get those calls in when a sidewalk's blocked. We just need to be aware that there's people, older people on scooters that need the sidewalk. They don't always want to go in the street. So we need to have a place. So that sometimes can be a problem. We do get the calls. Sheriff probably don't get the calls, but we do get the calls. Okay? So I'm pleased that we brought him on. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your comments, Al. Any more comments?
Good evening, Rich Kenny, 1265 Burning Bush Court. Thank you for your time today for Forest on behalf of us for the operation. We appreciate the support and moving forward, trying to do the right things. So I appreciate the help. For memorials and things of that nature, I think we ought to remember our history to make sure we don't make the same mistake in the future. So learning from that for our youth is important, whether it's in the library, on park property, things of that nature. I think we need to make sure we remember the past so we don't make the same mistake twice. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments? Yep.
Hi again, Murder Gashar, 6655 South Summerway Court, Lambertville, Michigan. I'm enjoying my freedom. Everybody here is a free soul. I would like my great-great-grandchildren to continue living here as free souls. I only know of one way we can do that. For the future, it's our children. They need to remember the history of the United States. They need to honor our flag. They need to stand and be proud of being Americans. The only way this can happen is by visually showing memorials of everything that's happened in our past. I stand for the American people, and I give my life for America if I had to. So please, come with me, join me, and let's show the children of the United States and Bedford Township that we're not going to stay silent. We're going to live to keep this town and America free. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any more comments?
Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance. Again, I'm going to reiterate, I am not opposed to the memorial. I just feel the place maybe is in question. Our history is up to our educators. It's up to our schools. It's up to the parents to get their kids into the schools so they can be taught this. We have learned this lesson recently when the South took down all of our history and has put it away so that we can ignore who were great people. Mistakes have been made in the past because life was different in the past. 9/11 impacted all of us. We've all got people who have died or who was related, but I feel the biggest impact for this memorial would be, such as Mr. Peroni had suggested, the cemeteries. Lamar Frederick said the police dogs. We have an empty square up here. We don't need a huge building. We don't need a classroom. That's up to our teachers. What we need is you could put a memorial up like we have here on site. It was the firemen and the dogs. And yes, people lost their lives. And it was all because of what reason? Because we weren't of the right color, the right religion, whatever it may be, that they felt that they needed to teach the Western world a new way. So I'm not opposed to the memorial. I just feel that it's, we all want to put gravestones on our husbands' graves and reward them for what they may have achieved in their lifetime, or your wife, or whatever it is. That's the cemeteries. And Trudy does well with her wreaths across America and the veterans play to the memorial that's in that cemetery. I'm just thinking, I don't know that we need to have a whole building. Ann Arbor, Lansing, Detroit, that would be far more appropriate.
Thank you for your comments.
Again, thank you.
Any more comments from the public? Okay. Comments from board members? Mr. Steiner?
Tell you what, Ms. Gashar, your comments, I will echo those sentiments about this country needs to remember who we are. Remember the past. Don't try to erase it. We're not saying we're a perfect nation. This country has made a lot of mistakes, but there's also been one heck of a lot of right things this country's done. As the pastor left here this evening at the beginning of the meeting, He made a very good point. Have our discussions. Go ahead, disagree all we want, but do it respectfully. This past weekend, we had a set of events take place, which we all are very well aware of at this point. It was a terrible thing that happened. It could have even been worse because there could have been more people killed. I'm not going to go out and, because I don't have all the facts, but we see things, hear things on TV. I'm not going to say exactly who was right, who was wrong, who made mistakes, who didn't. But obviously there was something, probably a failure somewhere, that we can do better to protect all of us. And that doesn't go just to presidential candidates. That's ourselves. That's in our local communities. We have a sheriff's deputy stand up here and talks about things that we do here in Bedford. We've said before, it's the old see something, say something, and try to alert the right people. And you may not always have the right person, but if you communicate it, that person might say, yes, I knew who to go to, and we will get to the right person to protect all of us. So I will reiterate the fact that I believe in this country, and I commend the people that dove on the former president the other day. And I think there's a number of us probably in this room. I said, you know what, if I was in the front row, you know where I'd have been? I'd have probably been on top of that pile. Not because of who he is or what he is. It's just because he could be a leader of our country. He was a leader of our country. I don't care if it was Joe Biden. I don't care if it was Kamala Harris or whatever. I'm going to sit up there and I'm going to respect that is the leader or could be leader. I'm going to do my part. And you said it. You give your life. And I've given so much too. And I do the same thing. So thank you for your presentation.
Mr. Montre?
The thing I wanted to commend the maintenance department for a timely cleanup of, there was a downed tree over at Crab and Stearns at the old historical school building, and they had that cleaned. I don't know if it was a full day that they had that thing gone, cleaned up, and looking nice again. That when I passed it, I thought, I wonder how long I'm going to look at that, and they proved me wrong, and I wanted to commend them. That was a great job.
That's what happens when you have the proper tools to do a job. Oh, Mr. Gore?
I have a few things. First, I got to start off with Road Commission. So I've had a constituent reach out to me last week and talk to me about the intersection at Smith and Clover, where we've had some very nasty accidents over the years. A four-way stop. Chief probably knows that intersection well over there. Last week there was another accident, and she's got it on her camera system. Car clearly blows the stop sign, crash. Next thing you know, before first responders get there, another car coming southbound blows the stop sign right through the crash scene. Okay? Happens all the time. She's asked, Joe, what can we do about that? Like, I'm going to find out. So I call Trudy, and Trudy's like, hey, it's a road commission issue. She provides me with road commission. On July 9th of this year at 12:38, I called the road commission, got their phone tree, found out where I needed to go, hope I was at the right place, got a voicemail, left a message, explained to them who I was, township trustee down in Bedford, had a constituent bring up a complaint. Can we get some stop signs at this intersection with the solar panels with the red flashing lights? Crickets. Received no reply from the road commission whatsoever. Zero. Road commission, you got to do better. Okay, you have to do better. Reach out to me. So I'm telling the board right now, anything that comes before us brought up by the road commission for approval, I will be an automatic no until they contact me back. It's unacceptable that I did not get a return phone call. All they had to do was call me and say, hey, we can look into it, something. But I got crickets, and it's been, almost a week now. So that's my spiel with that. Also, we have an election going on. We have absentee ballots going out right now. In about 10 days, we will have early voting, and then we'll have the general election on August 6th. So people get out there and vote. Along with the election, there comes a lot of garbage that goes around with that. Okay? We have people, be careful who you're voting for. We have a lot of rhinos out there. And we have meet the candidates. When you're talking to your candidates, ask them their true party affiliations. Ask them to clarify what they mean when you're talking about certain things. Don't take a politically correct, roundabout answer. We're talking about the weed, ask them directly, do you support it or do you not? Do you have the conservative values of a Republican? Okay? We got to do better. I have brought it, I want to thank my supporters out there. I've had a lot of support. A lot of people talk to me over the years, and I've had them come up to me and tell me, hey, I heard this, Joe, I heard that, some negative stuff. So I want to address that. Yes, folks, again, we all know I've missed some meetings. I have. Okay? But I've sacrificed a lot in my years. I'm 55 years old. Okay? I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps. Okay? Been a police officer for 31 years. I've missed a lot with my family, and I've chose not to do that anymore. My family has taken second seat for a long time. Okay? So for those of you out there complaining that I miss some meetings, shut up. Knock it off. We don't need to hear it. We don't need that. Okay? Just move on from it. Right? The memorials. Absolutely. I agree with it. We want to give $800,000 to a skate park. I know we can't do it because we told we can't do it. I wish we could. But I've been to a lot of memorials. Okay? I've been to Pearl Harbor. I've been there. I'm one of the very few people, fortunate ones, that I've been to Mount Suribachi and stood on top of Iwo Jima while some of my fellow Marines re-enlisted. I've got to stand on that. Okay? That's a memorial. It's amazing. 9/11, you're right. History repeats itself. Unfortunately, we got some knuckleheads out there that want to tear down our memorials. Okay? Hopefully that doesn't happen. So, beautiful presentation, beautiful speech. I hope it works out. I hope this board or a future board can help you with that. Okay? So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Bruning?
Nothing to add, but while we are here, Chris sent me a text. Chris Schlegel's the park board. So he said he would like it the second meeting of August, Trudy, and he will come in and speak to it. Okay? Other than that, everyone have a good night, good weekend. I don't know anything that's going on. I'm going down to see Jacob this weekend. My oldest son down in the Marines. He's at Camp Geiger, so I'll be making the trip down there to see him this weekend. My wife has a 4-day weekend, so we're going to go see him. Other than that, everyone have, like I said, good night, good weekend. So far, so good.
Hey, Ms. Januzak?
I don't have anything to add. Everyone have a good evening and a great weekend.
Hey, Ms. Hirschberger?
Absent ballots are still available for anyone who wishes to vote absentee. If you damaged or spoiled your absentee ballot, please stop in the clerk's office with your damaged or spoiled ballot, and we'll be able to get you a new ballot. If you never received your absentee ballot and you submitted an application, please check your email. If their signature didn't work or your address was incorrect, we will email you asking you for that information. So check your email. If you don't get an email, please come in the Township Hall. You can fill out a form. We can get you a ballot. Early voting will take place from July 27th through August 4th during the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. at the Township Hall upstairs in Conference Room C. The clerk's office will be open Saturday, August 3rd from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for election issues only. Election day is Tuesday, August 6th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. As of July 27th, the Township Hall will become a precinct, which means if you are a candidate on the August ballot, you will be allowed to come in and do township business, but any other activity after that will be considered campaigning, and it is not permitted per election law. So if you want to pay a sewer bill, you can, but then you must leave the township. You cannot stand around and talk to people. You must leave. Bids are due for the maintenance building on Friday, July 19th at 10 a.m. in the clerk's office. And because of the election, our next township board meeting will be August 13th.
Oh, Chris is going to have to wait. Okay, couple things. So, Joe, I'll speak to the road commission. I'm going to protect them a little bit. They're not used to a trustee calling and leaving a message in the phone tree. So what happens is, hold on, let me finish. The busiest time of the year, Joe Gore, trustee, calls and leaves a message in the phone tree. You're probably number 150 in line. They're used to direct calls. Bronco McCart, the supervisor for Bedford, you know what I mean, for the road commission. They're used to Dave Leach, direct calls, cell phones. They're used to Janine Abar, who oversees stop signs. I wish you had called me and I'd have gave you one of the direct lines. But when you go to the phone tree,
You're in the list.
dude, it's a whole nother deal. You're not dealing. So they're used to the elected officials just calling them direct because we all have their direct lines. I have 15 different business cards for road commission officials. So that's what happened to you. So I would definitely give them a pass because they're Johnny on the spot on everything around here. I call Bronco McCart. The next day, he's there checking out, you know, I get a pothole call. Boom. I mean, we have any issues with, you know, anything major, Dave Leach is here. I mean, they're on top of it. They do a great job. So that's what happened. You got stuck in phone tree. They will. When it gets to the number of where you left it, dude, you're probably number 150. I'm just telling you, they don't know Joe Gore's sitting in there. Their messages, I'm telling you, back up. So that's what happened to you. You can't get mad at him for that. Well, you can be, but you're wrong. Call the direct lines. I'll give you every one of their direct lines, so you don't have to go to a phone tree.
I'm not calling them back.
All right, be
Just so you
stubborn.
know, I didn't have the direct line, so I gave you the line I had.
Correct.
That's the phone tree line. Okay. I'll give you Janine Abar. She oversees all safety issues, all stop signs, all signage. They have a supervisor for each department. Bronco oversees all the maintenance.
Yeah, I've called
you know what I mean?
before. And
Dave Leach oversees it all. I'm just saying, there's no reason for you to call the phone tree because there's just too many people that call. That's where 250,000 residents call. So just to tell you. Personally, Joe, I'd stop saying that, you know, I appreciate you served. I appreciate everything you've done, and sheriffs, all that's, you know, great stuff. But to say you're going to miss meetings because you don't want to give up family time is a poor excuse. I would say.
You want to argue that all day long?
No, I'm just saying, though, as an elected official, when you get elected, you're elected to be here.
Can't take time off work?
No, I'm just telling you, you're expected to be at the meetings. I'm just saying I think it's a poor excuse, me personally.
I think you're a poor supervisor.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. So just so you know, we're looking into consumers' energy usage to make sure our buildings are running efficient. So we're working with the consumers. The Vets outing was a super huge success. Al Pryor was super involved in that. They made a lot of money. The mast arms at Kroger's are still being worked on and negotiations, dealing with insurance. So hang on to that. We do plan to sell the cars right away now. We're not going to hang on to cars and continue to fix them. And Mr. Gagne, I think I've told you numerous times, we're complaint-based. So when a resident calls and says, hey, we got something blocking the sidewalk, well, you have to be a complainant. And then they say no. So at least we have the option to call the sheriff where you don't have to leave a name and you can go handle that situation. So that's why I asked. So certain things like that. So it's not a knock at you, Joe. I think you're a great trustee. I'm just saying simply, I just say that your excuse to say, hey, I'm not going to be here because I'm not giving up more family time, I just wouldn't say that anymore, personally. But I think you do a great job as trustee. You've served well. So say I'm a poor supervisor, you don't need to get upset like that. I'm just giving you my opinion. Anybody else have anything, Ms. Hirschberger?
So many of you are aware that a petition was submitted to the clerk's department, so I have asked Phil to speak on that so that we're all on the same line and you're all aware of it.
Go ahead.
Other exciting things happening in Bedford Township, as if Trudy needs anything else on her plate at election time. But there it is, she has it. So in 2018, you might recall that a citizens petition, initiative petition statewide that is allowed by our state constitution was put before the people statewide to determine whether or not this state will allow recreational sale of marijuana. Depending on how you look at it, fortunately or unfortunately, that initiative passed. I was provided with a figure, and Trudy would probably know, I don't know if it's necessarily accurate, that 49% of the voters in 2018 voted in favor of that initiative. I don't know if that's necessarily an accurate number or not, but I think a significant number of people on that statewide initiative voted in favor of recreational sales of marijuana. Out of that grew the Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana Act, sometimes referred to as MRTMA, and within that act, which again was a citizen initiative, within that act, it provides that individuals may petition to initiate an ordinance to provide for the number of marijuana establishments allowed within a municipality, in our case a township, or to completely prohibit marijuana establishments within a municipality. And such ordinance shall be submitted to the electors of the municipality at the next regular election when a petition is signed by qualified electors in the municipality in a number greater than 5% of the votes cast for governor by qualified electors in the municipality at the last gubernatorial election. So we have been presented with a petition under this section of the state law. And now Trudy has to go through and verify those petition signatures. This proposed ordinance will be voted upon provided that a sufficient number of petition signatures are verified by our clerk's office, will be voted on at the November general election. And what's at stake for Bedford Township is if this initiative passes, we will have an ordinance that was appended to the petition, which they're allowed to do under this state law. We will have an ordinance that provides for at least no more than 5 retail marijuana establishments in Bedford Township. We took a position, the township took a position, the board took a position after 2018 to adopt an ordinance that I think Bedford Township may have been the first township in the county to adopt an ordinance that the term used was opt-out, and so no marijuana establishments have ever been allowed, recreational use, have ever been allowed within Bedford Township. We could have adopted an ordinance. People asked us to consider to adopt an ordinance, but the board was steadfast and said continually, no, we don't feel that's right for Bedford Township or for our residents. Now, we're forced through state law to put this to a vote through this initiative petition, to put this to a vote of the duly registered electors of Bedford Township. There have been questions asked. For instance, some people have signed the petition and now have changed their mind. It might have been based on what they were told by the circulator of the petition, and now they've changed their mind, and Trudy has been flooded with calls, and Jody Rector in our planning department has been flooded with calls. You all may have received calls. Can I remove my name from the petition? I've researched that, and there's no provision under the law for someone to come in and remove their name from the petition. I've confirmed my research with Catherine Kaufman and Rob Thal, who are the attorneys who represent the Michigan Townships Association. They are of the same legal opinion that I was, and they've confirmed that. So people who have signed the petition, you're stuck with that. Some of the people have said, well, the issue was misrepresented to me. I was told something different than what was really at stake here, and that's do we want 5 retail establishments, marijuana establishments in Bedford Township? That very may well have happened. I'm not going to challenge the veracity of somebody who's calling in and saying, hey, I was told something different, but we're stuck with that now. These petitions were circulated by paid, some of whom, maybe all of whom, were out-of-state circulators, and they were paid to go gather petition signatures. That's the way these operations now work. Yep. Just recently, the Supreme Court issued a decision where we used to be able to go to the state. Trudy and I had this conversation. Go to the state and get all the filings that were made by out-of-state petition circulators. The Supreme Court overturned the portion of the Michigan election law that allowed us to do that. We no longer have the ability to do that. That's been determined by the Supreme Court as being unconstitutional. So the petitions, we can't remove petition signatures. I would say when the time comes, you need to get out and vote. I'm not going to tell you which way to vote. We're not allowed as a township to promote one view over another, but vote your conscience. Get out and vote. If you signed a petition and you think it was misrepresented, go vote. That's the remedy. So other questions have been, we have been trying to determine what will actually be on the ballot. And I've researched it. I've had a lot of discussions with other municipal attorneys, with Rob Thal, with Catherine Kaufman. I even called the attorney who represents the petitioner and had a long discussion with him. And so excuse me, what I believe I'm going to advise Trudy and this board is that I don't want this board to be in a position where we try or attempt to summarize the ordinance that's been proposed by the petitioner. They actually propose an actual ordinance. That's what the law provides for. That's what the people of Bedford Township will vote upon. If we summarize it and the proponents of the petition don't like it, that gives them an opportunity to challenge it. If we summarize it and there's an opposition group and they challenge it because if it's not instructive enough or it doesn't tell people what they're actually voting on, they can challenge it. We can't amend or change the ordinance that's been presented by the petitioner, and it's a page long. And so I believe my advice is going to be, and it's been done in the past, and Rob Thal's done it in other jurisdictions, we'll take the ordinance that they proposed and the whole ordinance, it's a page long, will be part of the ballot so that the people who vote for it know exactly what's being proposed. Their summary is 3 sentences, and there's no way I'm going to ask you to approve that. Trudy, as the clerk, has the authority to approve a summary, and I wouldn't put that task on her alone. That's not right. If we were going to do something like that, I'd put it in front of the whole board, and we do a resolution like we do on other ballot proposals. But what I think I'm going to recommend to you, we're not even going to do a resolution. They've submitted an ordinance to us on this petition. We're stuck with that. We'll put that in front of the voters so the voters know. Now, one of the good things is that a lot of people vote, when it comes time in November to vote for this, a lot of people vote early voting or absentee voting. They can sit and read the whole thing. If you're going to the poll, it's going to be time consuming for somebody to read through this ordinance. I can do it because I've been doing it for 40 years and I can understand it and probably digest it. Most people, if they're in a booth at a polling place and they're trying to make heads or tails of this ordinance, are going to be confused. That's just life. So I want people to be able to read the whole ordinance and know exactly what they're approving or not approving when it comes to retail sales of marijuana.
Wouldn't that be a wonderful concept, to read something that's on a ballot and actually understand it?
Yeah.
Half the millages things wouldn't pass, and different things we have in the state.
So
you can't understand what the language is.
So that's I believe the way we're going to do it. I think that is the best way for the people of Bedford Township, so they can read it and they can understand it, and vote upon it in that way. And maybe people who vote absentee will have the luxury of sitting in their lazy boy and reading through it before they decide how to vote on it. Or if they engage in early voting, they can read it, digest it, and decide how they want to vote on it. We can't promote one way or the other. The last thing I will say is that there are restrictions placed, and they're in the ordinance, and I want all of you to read the proposed ordinance. It's at the clerk's office, and people who come into the township can read it. They should have it at their disposal, be able to read it and understand it, and then they can decide whether they want to support it publicly or whether they want to oppose it publicly. But in any event, read the ordinance. If you have any questions, call me. We can discuss it. Kyle Dersch called me today, and I had a nice conversation with him about what the ordinance provides for, the restrictions and so forth. Trudy, I think, has copies of it right there for you. So read it through it. And essentially these establishments, if this proposal passes, will be within our commercial zoning districts. They won't be in our residentially zoned districts. And there are certain setbacks required by the state law that will be enforced. One thing I don't like that we're going to have to deal with is if this passes, the first round, people will have to submit their applications to Trudy, to the clerk's office, within 30 days of the certification of the election. That's it. That's a tight window, 30 days. You have to have a location. You have to have pre-approval by the state. And there's a whole list of things that you have to have. So it's unknown how many applications that we'll get in the first year if it passes.
You say it might not be in neighborhoods, though, but there's some houses that are zoned C3.
There are. They
are prior legal non-conforming, and you could see one of those.
We might have to deal with that. But there are setbacks from residentially zoned properties and so forth. So people who want to do this have to be really prepared to, if this passes, to get in this year. They have to be pre-approved by the state. They have to submit a $5,000 payment to the clerks when they submit their application. These applications are well defined by the state law, and what they have to do is well defined. It's a 30-day window. So let's just say if we get more than 5 applications, we have to develop a policy, which the way I like to do these things is a zoning overlay district, where we, the township, say this is where you can be. If we've lost the ability to do that, and I'm not criticizing anybody. Quite frankly, I like the position taken by the township board. No, we don't want it in Bedford. The township board has been consistent with that. Now we have to deal with this because state law provides a method for this citizen initiative petition. But what we will have to do if it passes is develop a policy with selection criteria based on state law, and there's a lot of appellate decisions. There's been a lot of litigation over a township or a city or a village selects one applicant over another. If they don't have a well-defined policy, you get sued, and they got it, why not me? We don't want to get into that situation if this initiative passes. So I've provided you with a lot of information. Feel free to call me if you have any additional questions, but it's going to be on the ballot if there's enough verified petition signatures. So
Well, that was the main reason I fought so hard against it in the beginning is we wanted to wait till the smoke settled. Let all the other communities do this and watch what happens. And half of them got sued and half of them went through a lot of major issues. And so I knew eventually this was going to come, to where it's going to be placed on a ballot. But at least now the smoke's settled and we could be more prepared if it does pass.
So yeah, and
I will tell you, there's a lot of companies that are prepared already right now for whatever.
I'm sure there are. They have to have property. They have to have an ownership interest in property that's in a commercial zoning district. They have to have a pre-approved application into the state of Michigan and be pre-approved. I think the cutoff date is September 1 of 2024. There probably are some companies or individuals or property owners who are ready to submit applications. I've been told, and I don't trust the word of anybody because you never know until it actually happens, that the target area is Telegraph Road in that area south towards Toledo. We don't know what's going to happen until it happens. And some of the people that were approached with petitions apparently were told really nothing about marijuana. Do you want to see the motels along Telegraph Road cleaned up? Sign this, without telling them actually what it's all about. There's no guarantee that they'll end up there. There's no guarantee that people won't want a site at Stearns and Secor or in the Village of Temperance. There's no guarantee until we see what happens, until we have a qualified applicant. But it's all premised upon, number one, there being enough verified signatures on the petition. And Trudy has to go through 120 pages of signatures. 129. And she has to verify through the qualified voter system whether or not the signatures match the signature on the petition. There's a whole host of things that she and her staff have to do because we have to have this submitted by law no later than August 15th to Anna Marie Osmond, who is the Monroe County Clerk. So she's got a lot of work to do between now and then. So I'm just trying to give you a general overview of what we're faced with.
Hey, Paul, can I ask Phil a question? Okay, they've submitted a proposed ordinance. Okay, did they also submit what the ballot language would say, or?
Yeah, they did, and there's no way we're approving it. It's like 3 sentences.
Okay, and that's just one thing I want to tell the public. So again, this is going to be very difficult to do in a voting booth to read this. So, and the reason I ask about the ballot language, regardless of this particular issue or any issue, over the years of voting, I have seen things that are on a ballot that right off the bat it looks like, oh, well, yes, I'm going to vote yes for this. But if you read it in detail, you get to the bottom and say, oh my God, my yes would really be opposite of what my thinking is. You really need to read. So when this does come up, whether you're for or against, you need to really read. Unfortunately, you're going to have to read the proposed ordinance because I can almost guarantee you that, again, if the language for the ballot is right now suggested at 3 sentences, I guarantee that doesn't tell you everything. So that's something that we all need to make sure that we do and communicate and read before. Paul made a good point. How many times did our federal government, just pass the bill and we'll read it later? Really? You get, a 1,000-page document, and they give it to them today, and they got to vote tomorrow.
That's when they did the medical marijuana to help people with AIDS and glaucoma.
Yeah, I mean,
you didn't expand on it, but really you didn't realize, your neighbor's going to grow 72 or 20, 12 plants per patient, up to 7 patients in their house next door to you in the neighborhood.
So it could be anything. It could be marijuana. It could be anything.
So here's their proposed language, which is, this is a summary of all summaries.
Do you want to clean up Telegraph Road?
The ordinance. This is the proposal. A summary of ballot question. This proposal, if adopted, would provide for 5 adult-use marijuana retailers allowed in the municipality, period. Shall the proposal be adopted? There's a box for yes and a box for no.
I think that's pretty clear.
Do you? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, 5 marijuana retailers, what would it say?
Phil?
I mean, if that's what's actually going to be on the ballot, to me, that sounds...
I would ask you to read the whole ordinance.
It says, what can they do? That's the thing. The ordinance says what they can do, not just a yes or no.
So
I think that's what you're getting at, Phil.
Traditionally, the fewer words, the more chance the proposal has to pass, because it doesn't inform the public of what they're voting on. Conversely, the more that's there that gives the voter a full picture of what's being presented leads to confusion and people vote no. I'm just asking people to read the whole ordinance. I don't...
No, I agree with you, but I'm saying, to say that, 5 marijuana establishments within your community,
Yeah, it's more than that, and there's... I would just ask people to read the whole thing.
They won't.
They should.
They should, but they won't, unfortunately.
I guarantee,
Mr.
though, if
Montre?
you communicate it, more people will.
Hopefully.
Phil, as far as you know or understand, what role would this board play, if any, after, say that this would pass in November, what role would this board play in regards to any, like what you had mentioned, an overlay district? I think you said that that's not, you can't do an overlay district, or any, what if any, that you can foresee this board play in if this passed?
A lot of pressure is going to be put on the clerk's office because she's the receptacle for applications. She has to do the initial review. She's going to have to determine whether the requirements of MRTMA have been met with the application, all of that. But what the board will be faced with is we're going to have to quickly draft a policy relative to if there's more than 5 applicants, how those applicants how those applications will be evaluated, and how one applicant will be chosen over other applicants. And it has to be a really, really good, tightly written policy because many communities throughout the state of Michigan have been sued when there are multiple applications for a minimum number of retail establishments.
We're going to get more than 5.
Yeah.
Mr. Moore? We already know that.
5 locations in Bedford Township, I think people need to evaluate that from a public health safety standpoint. I'm not advocating one way or the other. You got to think about that. 5 locations in Bedford Township, what that means to public health, safety, police protection. You got to think about that.
So, and we can talk about marijuana until midnight tonight, until 10 o'clock, so we'll keep it simple. Number one.
Well, we're 2 old cops, so yeah,
right.
We could.
So simply, first off, you're right, Phil. People do need to read the entire thing, but Paul, you're right. They're not going to. So can we post this since we have it? It's public.
Yes, absolutely. It's been submitted to the clerk's office. This is what the public is going to be asked to vote upon. So yes, it can be posted. We cannot take a position in favor of or against as a township board. Strictly forbidden. We can't commit resources to that. We simply cannot do that. If there are citizen groups that want to take a position in favor or against, they're more than welcome to do that.
That's what I was going to say. Citizen groups, start uniting now and get ready, get all your ducks in a row, because we all know the person the business owner that collected these petitions, number one, has deep pockets. There's no question about that. So they'll come out swinging. And let's hope they use a circulator that in the last election that our Chief Craig used, and most of the signatures were bogus. So we can hope on that. And then what happens if that happens? It's dead this
Well,
time around?
If as Trudy goes through meticulously, as I know she will, and she's already started that process, if there's insufficient signatures, then that's it.
I can tell you this, they received 15.
It will not be on the ballot. But I will tell you this, that the law provides for 5%. In other instances, it's 8%. So it's a lesser threshold for them. So
how many
they submitted about what, double
1,500?
what they had to, or?
They submitted 1,100 and something.
And I think it was 700 and something that was required.
They've already been professionally scrubbed.
No.
Well, from what I understand.
I'm the only one that can do that.
No, I'm saying another party scrubbed them. When they did they've already had that, from what I understand, from what I heard, they've already had them scrubbed from another party.
Then they didn't do a good job.
Well, I'm just saying, that's just what I've been
Oh,
told.
you mean the signatures?
The signatures have already been scrubbed already.
Well, I don't know about that. I'll rely on Trudy.
No, I understand that they got to go through them, but I'm telling you that's just what I've been told.
There's no way they
only
could
need,
verify a
800?
signature. They can't verify a signature. They can look at their address to see that they live here,
Right.
and they didn't even do a good job at that because I have a lot of Ida
I'm not
and
saying they
Whiteford
did a good or a bad
residents
job.
on
I'm
it.
just telling you whatever.
But some of them where I couldn't read them at all because they're not even legible, they have like last names or an address that the person put a bogus address down. They gave me their real address so I could find them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they need 800?
They need, I think, like 578 or something like that.
Yeah, it's here, true. Assuming this is accurate, so.
No, they need more than what they have because they have the wrong number of how many voters came out.
Okay, all right. So they say they submitted 1,183 signatures on 129 petition sheets. That's what they say.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was submitted to our clerk's office, to Trudy.
Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I do. No. So as far as posting this, I can post this on my own, like, personal Facebook page, right? And I can say how, like, whether I support it or don't support it, as long as I don't.
Yeah, from a personal stance.
All right, from a personal, because I'm on another band, so I can't post on Unleashed.
Are you asking what you can and can't do?
Well, I can't post on Unleashed. I'm on another band.
Wow,
well,
you're moving. You're stepping in the right
sure.
go.
Because he said we can't show any stance on it. Well, if it's on my personal page, I think I can. Correct?
That's right.
Okay.
It has to be strictly personal. It cannot in any way be connected to any Bedford Township resources or Bedford Township Facebook page, anything like that. It has to be your personal opinion.
Christopher Bruning.
You're entitled to that.
Or your
Not
LLC.
trustee.
Not trustee.
Oh, yeah, I can put it on my Todd's Guns page, too.
Not trustee.
No, I don't put anything trustee.
Just Todd
I
Bruning.
don't even have a trustee page.
Okay.
Mr. Gorge, you have something?
No, just ask questions, especially of those candidates, and make sure they're on the same page as everybody else.
Okay, Murda, you did a great job tonight. I support you. I think you're right on your way. Just remember, you're not going to win everybody. There's always negative people. Just stay focused. Keep moving forward. Block out the negativity, okay, because they'll always be there. Just move forward. Don't worry about them. Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.